Hello there, and welcome to episode 4 of the Sawtail Show. We're making a sawtail for the storage of my hand saws here in the workshop. Let me show you where we are right now. We've cut out our sides and we've made our mortises for our rails here, and we've made our rabbets for our backboards here. And we've even cut some dados here that are going to form the bottom section of our till where the drawers are going to be. So in this episode, we're going to be cutting the tenons in our rails to join the sides together, and we're also going to be laying out the dovetails along the bottom. But before we get to that, if you recall, last time I had you look up a word, and the word was sloyd. Sloyd is a Swedish word that means handicraft. And back in the late 1800s, in Finland and also in Sweden, a system of education was developed called the sloyd system, and it combined woodworking with general education subjects like reading, writing, and arithmetic. Beginning in grammar school, kids learned to whittle. And they took knives just like this one. This is actually called a sloyd knife, made in Sweden, and you can still get these. Kids, as part of their curriculum, learn to whittle, carve things, and make things with their hands. The value in this was not in what they were making. The value in this was what was going on up here in their heads as they learned to use their hands and make things. And what were they learning? Well, I made a quick list here. Dexterity, the importance of planning and being organized, accuracy in measurement, problem solving, the appreciation of form and beauty, and the appreciation and respect for the efforts of others. These are useful things that we should be teaching in our schools. We're tool makers, we're tool users, and we like to use our hands. So it's important that we continue to develop these skills as we go along, not only as young people, but even as old geezers and geezerettes like you and me. There's still benefits to be made by learning to use our hands. So, is that it? I think that's it. Where to from here? Let's get back to our project here and get started on it. Let's have a closer look at how our tenons work. Here's our mortise here, and our rabbet along the back for our backboards, and our tenon goes in like this. It's set back a little bit from the edge so that our backboards can fit in like that. So that's how that goes. We've lost a little bit of thickness here when we put the rabbet in, but I still think it's going to be a good strong mortise and tenon joint. So that's that. Now it's time to cut our tenons. It's a very narrow piece of wood that I'm cutting off. Little nuts there to start my saw. Now normally, when I'm cutting tenons, I'll cut sort of diagonally like this and follow both lines, this line here and this line here. But because this tenon here is long this way and very short that way, I'm going to try a different technique and really establish this curve first, following just this line, and then I'll slowly follow the other line down and saw that way. So let's give that a try here. Okay, I got a good curve across the top there. And now I'm going to follow this line down to here. Now I'll turn it around and I'll follow this line here. And then straight down. That's pretty close. Like that. I believe they call that the Robert Wearing method, following one line at a time as opposed to following two lines at a time when you make your saw cut. There. Now I got to clean that up with a chisel just a little bit. Turn my cross. Okay, now let's see how this goes. I'm kind of happy with that one, okay? Don't we wish everything fit so nicely when we worked in our shops?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's on to the dovetails for attaching the bottom that joins the two sides. I've sandwiched my sides together here very, very carefully. I've scribed my gauge lines for the dovetails, and they're sandwiched neatly. The outsides are facing in, so that any chipping out that occurs as my saw blade exits the cut is going to be on the insides and not on the parts that you're going to see. And I've marked my half pin points here. This is at 3/16, and then over here it's at 5/8. And the reason is because I want to make sure there's room to clear my rabbets that I made for my backboards. So let's mark these first, and then we'll go from there. There's that. And there's that. Okay. Now what I want to do is space out my dovetails. I've got my dividers here already set. And when I walk them across, you'll see how it goes. You ready? Now you'll notice that my divider goes past my half pin line by about 3/16 of an inch, and that's exactly what I want. Now I'm going to move this pointer over to there and walk it back. And you'll see what happens here. It gives us little pairs of pin pricks there from the dividers. I call them snake bites. But what that will do is be my reference for drawing my lines for the dovetails. So the next step is going to be using my dovetail marker, which will draw a nice square line across the end grain and also allow me to make my 1 6 slope line for my dovetail. Now I have to turn this around so I can see what I'm doing here. And here we go. A little awkward angle for me here. At least that's my excuse. Okay. I think I have these marked correctly.
There we go.
Across there. Now I'm just going to mark the waist. So when I saw this, I'll be sawing both sides at the same time. Saves me a little time and effort, and it actually helps me make a more square cut across the tops of these. So Not the neatest job in the world. But we'll see. Anyway, I think that's as far as we're going to take it this time around. Next time, we're going to chisel these out. We're going to transfer our lines to our pin board, and we're going to cut those and chisel those out as well. So, tough show here this time. I don't know. Not as easy as my other shows, but that's life. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Also, check out Sloyd. I mentioned it before, and forgot to mention that Roy Underhill did a great show, an entire 28-minute show, 27-minute show on Sloyd for his Woodwright's Shop TV show on PBS. So definitely check that out, and see you next time.
Wasn't that great?